What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Laner History. Today, we're going to take a look at our Harriet Tubman DBQ, and specifically, what was Harriet Tubman's greatest achievement? We're going to start by taking a look at Document A and answering the questions that follow. The first question in Document A states, traveling by foot, about how many miles was it from Bucktown to Philadelphia, and from Philadelphia to St. Catharines in Canada? And using the PDF, there are two maps. If we look here on the map on the left, we can see Bucktown right down here at the bottom of our screen, and we're going to see Philadelphia in the upper right-hand corner. Looking at the bottom, we have our scale, which is about an inch, and it's about 20 miles for each inch. Now, you also see lines that show the different routes that were traveled through the Underground Railroad to get into the north and specifically eventually into Canada. But as we are estimating, as we go through from Bucktown again to Philadelphia, you can almost use your finger, the knuckle of your finger, as an estimate and kind of count as you're going through. And as we go through from Bucktown here at the bottom, and we kind of map it as we go up to Philadelphia, you're going to get around about 125 miles. Again, you may have something close like 100 or 140. It's going to be in a range. You're not going to get an exact number since we're not measuring it out using a ruler. So around 125 miles would be a great estimate for this one. The second question, we're then going to use the map on the right here. And we are going to be going from Philadelphia down here all the way to St. Catharines here in Canada. But again, you have to notice here, the scale is now changed to 100 miles per each inch. So as we estimate from Philadelphia going into St. Catherine, it's going to be around 550 miles. Again, you may not have that exact number. You may have 500. You may add a little bit more, but it's going to be an estimate of about 550 miles. And you can take a look at these maps and just kind of analyze the different routes that were taken. Again, you have Maryland, you have Delaware, you have Pennsylvania, and eventually Canada up here in the north. So it's important to kind of look at both maps, as well as keep in mind the scale. Even though you have two different size maps, the scale is what's going to tell you the actual distance on there. Question 2. In the 1850s, why did Harriet feel compelled to escort her escaped slaves all the way to St. Catharines? Why, for example, didn't she stop in Albany? The Fugitive Slave Act made Canada the only true safe haven. There would be too much risk involved with stopping in Albany due to the Fugitive Slave Act. Again, we have to remember, once Congress passed this act, it made people more reluctant to help fugitive slaves. Both free blacks and whites in the North were not going to be as willing to help because they themselves did not want to get in trouble with the law. So Harriet decided that the only true safe haven was going to be in St. Catharines in Canada. 3. In terms of risk or number of people helped, does this document provide evidence of great achievement? Explain. Again, each of these answers is going to be a little bit different. It's going to have your own opinion in here. This is just a sample answer. You do not have to have exactly what is written here. From this document, it is not possible to determine the number of people Harriet helped. The risk, however, is suggested by the number of miles traveled, both in the slave state of Maryland and then in the North where the Fugitive Act was in force. So a couple things to remember. You know, they're going through hostile territory. People are looking for these runaway slaves at this time. People in the North, like we just talked about, with the Fugitive Slave Act that was enforced, it just made it very difficult, and it was a very tough travel, not only physically on their bodies, but not being caught and returned to the South. Document B. In Document B, it takes a look at the different travels that Harriet came back to after she had created the Underground Railroad. Question 1 states, if Harriet was born in 1822, how old was she when she made her first and last rescue? Based on this information, she was 28 years old on her first rescue, and on her last rescue, she was 38 years old. Question 2, according to the document note, what measure did Harriet take to avoid capture? She planned her abductions for December on Saturday nights and met her cargo off the plantation limits. She would also drug babies to reduce crying. You have to remember, there's a reason why she would do that on a Saturday night. Typically, slaves were given one day off a week. So if she would go on a Saturday night, the slave owners might not notice that a slave is missing until the following Monday, since they were not working on that Sunday. It was a deliberate plan. There was deliberate routes that were there, and any young children she would drug to reduce the crime, because obviously the crying baby would possibly give away their location and make them easier to get caught. Question 3. In terms of risk, number of people helped, and length of time spent, does this document provide evidence of a great achievement? Explain. Again, with this question, you guys have the opportunity to kind of add in your own thinking, your own inferences based on the information you are taking in document B. But there's plenty of evidence in this document to make a case for a great achievement in Harriet's life. Refer to the note for details. There's several information in that note. We talked about here in question 2, the routes that she took. Why did she choose to go in December? Why was she choosing Saturday nights? Why was she going off the plantation limits to gather these runaway slaves? And also why she may have drugged the babies to reduce the crime. Using that information, that will then help you determine the risk, the number of people, and the length of time spent. Again, refer back to that note in document B. Hopefully this was helpful for you in determining documents A and B in our DBQ. And the next video, we will highlight document C.